Eomzo has been one of the most consistent players in not only solos but duos, and in today's video we're going to break down how he won one of the solo victory cash cup this season with this 15 elimination victory royale. Eomzo is landing at the red line rig, obviously to get the mythic AR and the medallion, but he's going to start off with one of the most impressive spawn fights I've ever seen. He ends up landing a little short here and gets a Nuka-Cola. However, the opponent that he is landing there with ends up getting the weapon with the chest. He then baits the opponent by immediately jumping off, landing on the zipline, not only getting him away, but causing the opponent to take fall damage, and then he immediately goes back up, giving himself just enough time to pop that said Nuka-Cola, immediately goes back down, and then baits it back up to keep the opponent up there, which gives him the time to go pick up these two shotguns and allow for his shield to accumulate. He picks up an elimination on another opponent who was running directly at him, and now that opponent is completely shambles at significant health disadvantage, and Eomzo picks him up as well, which turned a very sticky off-spawn situation into an impressive 2 eliminations. Watch how Eomzo claims the boss here. He immediately jumps down and does some damage to the bot, but then takes the zipline up to get the NPC to go on a lair where he can be much more isolated and not get attacked by anyone around him. This is an incredibly efficient way to get the medallion and a lot safer than taking your chances on a lower layer where a lot of people can rat and end up doing damage to you. Eomzo in these next couple of engagements is going to show how strong the mythic AR is. He immediately thirds parties a fight to the right of his drop and ends up getting a free elimination onto this first opponent whose back was to him. As the opponent he is fighting ends up boxing up, he ends up eating a little bit of damage. However, his crosshair placement is so good with the mythic AR that when the opponent actually decides to finally let him pre-fire, he easily 200 zeros them and cleans up these 2 easy eliminations due to the AR. Since this VOD review, Nitro has been nerfed, and Eomzo is going to show you why in this next engagement. He first uses the Nitro to get a speed boost and claim height on his opponent and hits him for a significant amount of damage to start off the fight. As the opponent tries to box up, he predicts exactly where the opponent's going to edit down, free boxing down below, then hitting a massive one pump onto him, and then he uses the Nitro to continually break the builds and cleans up this easy elimination. Eomzo's 6th elimination is really no big deal as he fights an opponent just outside of Grim Gate and then uses the dash feature to claim height, start off with a significant amount of damage, and the opponent never properly protects himself, giving Eomzo a free elimination. In this next engagement, once again, Eomzo is going to use the Nitro, immediately popping it before getting any damage in the fight. He does drop down and start off with a little bit of chip damage. However, as the opponent mantles up, he times a sprint perfectly, using the Nitro to break into the builds, and immediately cleans up this opponent in less than 10 seconds. After this elimination, Eomzo is going to play a whole lot more passive. He's going to play for the island here, and he claims it immediately and gets met with no resistance. He's easily able to claim the loot on top, then go down below in the basement to get a drum mag on his Gatekeeper shotgun. No opponents even challenge him, and he continually runs around in a circle for a significant amount of time, and he stays on this mountain all the way until 2 rotations later. Eomzo is going to put on a clinic on how to minimally use materials and positioning with rotation. He's going to immediately pop a fizz as the next zone pops, and he's going to put himself on the dead side where zone is opening up. This ensures that he will not have his materials wasted, and there is a less chance of an opponent running in with Nitro. In this next rotation, Eomzo is going to repeat the exact same process. He's going to go to the side of zone as it immediately opens up and just take a look at the minimap and how little amount of opponents are positioned where he is at. This ensures not only does he save his health and shield, but more importantly, he's able to keep his materials and once again, not die to Nitro by being around a significant amount of congested players. Take a look at this 3rd rotation because once again, it demonstrates the same fundamentals from the previous 2 rotations. As the zone immediately pops, he uses a fizz and a ring splash to go from all the way the backside of zone to the deepest part, and he also elevates here, which is incredibly crucial in this Nitro meta to avoid the chaos of everyone running into your builds on low ground. Once again, we've seen him make 3 rotations with less of use of 20 builds. Eomzo, even after establishing on that high layer, is still looking to play aggressive. Since he's in a power position, he starts off this next fight with a significant amount of damage and immediately jumps on that opponent, quickly ending this fight and this was possible due to the fact that one, he was on high ground, and also due to the fact that he was on a dead side and him getting lobbied was a whole lot less more likely if then he was on the congested side. Eomzo is then going to use the materials he got from that opponent to expand a bunch of space towards where the zone is, and he's going to repeat the basic fundamental of going where zone expands. Just take a look at this next rotation where no one is completely near him, and when he boxes up, he's the only one on that side, and he has a ton of materials. Before the moving zones start, he gets a free elimination with his mythic AR, and initially, he decides that he wants to play for high ground since he has a favorable pull as well as a metal box to connect to. However, an opponent behind him actually claims height, and instead of burning his materials, going for it this early, he simply just box up, tries to grief the opponent here, but as the opponent reconnects, he waits to the backside of zone is there, uses some fizz, and immediately gets to a very dead right side of the zone, which just opened up, thus making this rotation incredibly efficient and saving his materials, not going for height. After the next zone pull, he once again is a lot more patient, waiting till zone is right at his back and using the fizz to once again go dead side. However, I did warn that landing on low ground here can be dangerous, as a fellow NA West pro ends up nearly taking him out by using the nitro. However, fortunately, Eomzo with his W King earlier secured the nitro coin, so he was able to easily get out of this situation and elevate. After smartly elevating, Eomzo's patience once again pays off. After he makes a 2x2 box, he sees an opponent fly directly onto his wall, and that opponent is not aware that Eomzo controls it, edits on him, and picks up a nice refresh in this moving zone. After picking up that elimination, he almost immediately rotates to once again a specific side of the zone. He's granted a free elimination as this opponent is flying in the air with no protection. As he tries to claim the loot on the lower there though, again, remember Nitro is a disaster in this situation. And fortunately, he only ends up eating a little bit of damage, and as he tarps away, he smartly pops a Nuka-Cola, thus getting him back to full HP. At this point in the game, Eomzo's map conservation, as well as impacts in the moving zone, are going to finally pay off. As he pops this Nuka-Cola, he realizes that no team is contesting height, so he simply takes it for himself, sticking to one side. Also, fortunately for him, he has the mythic AR, so he can condition and pressure pretty much everyone in the lobby, and no one would dare challenge that. Fortunately for him as well, as the zone moves on, he has enough hard materials to then go down and support. Eventually, he's going to continue to stick to one side on high ground and use his mythic AR to pick up another elimination. Eomzo is going to continue to abuse this high ground and eventually pick up 2 more eliminations with the AR, thus forcing it into a 1v1. As he realizes that he's in a 1v1, he immediately pops a Nuka-Cola because he knows he possibly will run out of mats before the zone closes, and he wants to have as much HP while fighting. Fortunately for him though, the opponent is pretty weak, so Eomzo, when he runs out of mats, uses a fizz to continually jump above the opponent's builds. The opponent ends up getting caught in Storm, and Eomzo is granted this elimination and a second victory royale for this tournament, which allowed him to get the first place performance. Eomzo in this game showed the very fundamental importance of rotating as the zone opens and positioning. His positioning throughout allowed him to save materials, and all of the impacts that he got in the endgame allowed him to take height when the entire lobby was shambles, thus granting him a free victory royale with his mythic loot. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's VOD review. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.